The AI bubble is popping. If you think the AI race is about software, you're in the wrong conversation. It's about infrastructure. Forget about ChatGPT. Forget about Claude. There's already a global war for power, cooling, infrastructure, data centers, and it's already underway. Critics like Ed Zitron argue that the AI boom is massively overhyped. But even if half the hype disappears tomorrow, the infrastructure build-out is already real.
The majority of these projects are flim-flam. You've got data centers being built for customers that can't pay for them. None of this is real.
Tech industry critic Ed Zitron, he's all over the country right now. And he's basically saying 50% of the data centers aren't going to get built. The data that he's citing is real, but I think he's only half right. And the half that he's missing is the most important half. It's the half that's going to tell us what's actually happening next. I know this because I've been building data centers for nearly 30 years now. I'm not analyzing this from the cheap seats. As we speak, I'm developing gigawatt AI infrastructure across the United States. The AI data center bubble story, it's real. But the people screaming collapse, they're actually missing what's actually happening on the ground. Because the build is not stopping, it's just changing shape. Right now, the narrative is everywhere. The projects aren't getting built, the power isn't there, and the demand isn't real.
There's somewhere between 190 and 240 gigawatts of capacity being built as in announced, but only 5 gigawatts are actually under construction worldwide.
And Zitron is right about one thing. The bottlenecks are real. Sightline Climate tracked about 140 projects across the United States that are supposed to come online before the end of 2026. About 16 gigawatts total, but only about 5 gigawatts are actually under construction. The AI bubble crowd's first mistake? Confusing delays with collapse. That's just not how infrastructure works.
You've got a lot of construction money sloshing around and going nowhere. In America, only about $28 billion was spent on data center construction last year, for what is meant to be hundreds of gigawatts worth. Power is definitely a bottleneck, but the actual real bottleneck is just reality. These things take a long while to build. I don't think they're fully capitalized. And I think we're going to see in the next year or two just announcement after announcement of these things getting canned.
Delay is not cancellation, and cancellation is not collapse. Heavy infrastructure slips all the time, 12 months, 18 months, 24 months. That's normal. Most of these projects don't disappear. They just move. They get repriced, refinanced, rescoped. That's just how the industry has always worked. The AI bubble crowd's second mistake? Looking at the wrong layer of the market. The hyperscale campuses.
I think that the majority of these projects are flim-flam. I think they're vaporware. I looked up some of the biggest projects in the entirety of America, and almost all of them that I found were either not under construction, had only just broken ground, or literally didn't exist. 2 buildings out of 8 are built, was meant to be done at the end of 2025, middle of 2026, end of 2026. It's not going to be done before 2027. In fact, I don't even think it gets done at all. I think the whole thing's a crock of nothing.
Stargate, Abilene, the hyperscale campuses. He's right that those projects have problems, but that's not the whole build. The next phase is going to be smaller, distributed, it's going to be sovereign, and it's going to be closer to the demand. Those projects, they're not making headlines right now, but they're happening. I know that because I'm building them right now. The third mistake, thinking the electrical grid problem stops the builds. The grid is the bottleneck right now, and it is killing projects, but the industry and the market is working around that problem.
All of these articles about power have such weasel wording. Long story short, 60% of the data centers just don't have an answer for where the power's coming from. That does not mean that the 40% actually has power. It just means that they've signed contracts with power suppliers theoretically. 60% of them are just like, yeah, we're going to build it, we'll work out the power later. Yeehaw!
That's true, if you're willing to wait for the grid. We're not. Behind the meter changes the bottleneck. Gas, hybrid, nuclear, microgrids. Microsoft is doing it. Crusoe's doing it, and my Grid 7 is doing it. The build isn't stopping, it's rerouting. The fourth mistake, assuming the hyperscalers are the only customers. Everyone keeps asking the same question. Who's actually paying for all of this AI infrastructure?
When you remove Anthropic and OpenAI, no one's really making that much money. And it's convenient to say, okay, well, maybe it's because they're so good. No, I don't take that either. Like, I'm not sure who the customers of the data centers will be.
That argument only works if you think AI begins and ends at Silicon Valley. Hyperscalers aren't the only buyers anymore. The federal government is another. Defense, energy, intelligence. National security demand doesn't disappear because a startup misses revenue targets. AI sovereignty is now a strategic priority. Its demand is mandated. It's not optional. And the biggest mistake of all is confusing the contract with the asset.
I'm not sure where the real economy is here. You've got GPUs being sold for data centers that aren't getting built. You've got data centers being built for customers that can't pay for them. You've got an industry claiming it's the biggest, most hugest thing ever. But when you look at the actual user numbers, pathetic.
The asset is the infrastructure, not the contract. Companies can fail, contracts can break, but the infrastructure still exists. The GPUs still exist. The buildings still exist. They just get repriced, restructured, released. Conflating those two layers is the single biggest mistake being made in this entire debate. What I'm seeing on the ground doesn't look like a bubble bursting. It looks like a transition from hyperscale to distributed, from grid tied to behind the meter, from compute first to energy first, from centralized to edge. The industry is reorganizing around physical reality, not collapsing because of it. The bubble crowd is watching one shape of build fail. They're missing the second shape scaling underneath it. The build is not collapsing, it's fragmenting. Both can be true at the same time. They are. This just isn't about AI. This is about who controls the infrastructure of the future. If you want more analysis just like this, subscribe to The Bridge on Substack. I publish every week on AI infrastructure, sovereignty, and where this transition is actually headed. It walks through the same framework that I use with federal CIOs and enterprise architects. This isn't theoretical. This is actually what I'm building. I'll see you next time.